This is Mountain Psych.
Mountain Psych.
Mountain Psych.
Mountain
Psych.
Psych.
Mountain Psych.
Mountain
Mountain
Psych.
Psych, man. Mountain Psych. Hey, it's Mountain Psych.
Mountain Psych.
Mountain Psych. Conversations
Conversations.
from the mountains.
Pants bring home a big dance. Pop. PB pants. PB pants.
All right, that's how we're starting this off. Welcome back, Santiago Garcia III.
Thank you.
Man, just to start off, we had a pretty fun day. Different for me. I've never did any. Well, just to fill everyone in, today we did a pistol training course. Essentially, first time for me ever having a pistol, and well, I've fired a pistol before, but no training, no formal
I
training.
would
at
probably refer to it as a basic pistol orientation.
all. Okay, and that for me, it was a trip because I don't know. I guess I always looked at guns like I needed them, like I needed to know more about them, obviously. But this is the first time I was sitting there, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was pretty nervous. First time using a gun in that kind of, well, for the idea of buying a gun. So,
I think weapons are something to be nervous about. Absolutely. I mean, they definitely deserve and command the appropriate respect. You need to know, have proper knowledge in handling them and safety in a firearm. There's lots of legalities in owning a firearm, responsibilities. There's a lot of things that go hand in hand with that. It's not something that I take lightly at all.
yeah, we totally touched base on this last time you were here, and like how easily, like, people don't know what they're doing. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just put a live round into a gun, and I'm just like, okay, so now like I have a gun, and like that's a scary thing that so many people go without any basic training, and they have these guns.
Yeah, how was that? So before I got on the scene, I found you
Loaded.
with someone else
It's like cheating on Santiago for like
at the range.
10 minutes before he showed up. Already fired off some rounds. Already did some bad things.
Bad things.
Yeah, so against all the rules. Friend.
Where did you have? Yeah, go ahead.
So my friend that I was with, he's trying to sell me a gun, as a Glock 43 and just a little concealed carry gun. He's giving me all kinds of information. He's like, well, we could just fire some off. So I already fired a machine gun before that, and now I don't even remember. He
That was
said
different.
that was different. I had someone train professional machine gun tours. Shout out to Alan, right? Yeah.
Alan Samuel, machine
Which I
gun
owe-
tours off Colfax.
Owe him some barbecue or $50. I'm really pushing for barbecue.
We'll take the barbecue. We eat there all the time. I'm sure
Right.
we spent a lot more than that there.
But then I get another gun. Basically,
Alan leaves,
yeah.
by the way.
Alan leaves. Get another
Let's
gun
clear this
handed
up.
to
Alan
me.
and I had done a basic pistol course, which we are licensed NRA instructors. Both have. Alan's been shooting since he was 8 years old. Competitive shooter, 3-gun skeet, revolver, any type.
Yeah.
Long distance rifle, anything you can think of. Owns an FFL and SOT, which is a legal place to purchase firearms and Class 3 items. Has owned and operated a professional business for years, Machine Gun Tours. Check it out. And we were wrapping up our morning course that we were doing when you were not there. It ran a little bit long. So Andrew and his buddy that he brought along with him arrived before we had done our final wrap up. And on Alan's exit, because Alan is such an aficionado of this amazing pork product that Smoking Yards puts out, wanted to show off in a safe way to Andrew. He pulled out a fully automatic weapon, loaded it for Andrew, and allowed Andrew to discharge the weapon in a supervised, safe manner with an appropriate backstop. We're at a very professional range, private range, and allowed him to dispense one magazine into a cardboard target.
Right.
At this point, he puts it away. I still have not arrived on the scene. Alan exits the property. I am still on the other side of the property, not in view of what Andrew is doing. And this is where the story that Andrew's talking about starts to take place. I want to make this clear.
So I get a loaded firearm, a clip. So
Not
I
from
end
me.
up firing off these eight rounds, and then reloading the firearm because that's pretty simple. Knowing and not knowing that I had put one in the round or into the chamber, and then putting it back into the concealed carry. Holster.
It was
pocket.
It's a pocket holster.
It's a pocket holster.
So it's not designed. It's designed to go inside of your pocket.
Okay.
At the depth of your pocket, which is the reason it has the rounded form. Because if you ever turn your pockets inside out in your pants,
Yeah.
oh, the contour is kind of the same, so it
Right.
settles in there.
Okay.
However, where did you?
I put it in my crotch area, front area, loaded gun, right at my dick, basically. Give it to Santiago. He takes the bullet out of the chamber, and
I asked where the weapon was first.
And yeah, so that's how we got there. And then I got
And relieved him of the firearm.
Yep.
Turned away from him in a safe manner. Dropped the magazine. Pulled the slide back, and to my surprise, there's a live 9mm round inside the chamber. I then turned to Andrew, I'm sure with a face of disgust, and I basically berated him and this individual for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then escorted Andrew inside to review basic firearm safety and my expectations of him on the range while I was in the range officer position and when he was going to be doing any shooting with me, accompanying him or instructing him. So we had to immediately break him and his accomplice of very negative habits.
So this comes back to what I said earlier. Sometimes you got to be the fool and not the teacher. And I learned a very, very valuable lesson today on something that I needed, honestly, like I don't know how I would go about buying a firearm without knowing this information and not knowing how to etiquette. Like you don't just this is like playing golf. You don't just go out and play golf the first time without learning anything from anybody and just
See, the thing
tear
with
up the
golf,
course.
though,
no one can die. But
you get hit with a golf club. I've been hit with a golf club. You can run me over with a cart. I'm pretty sure I'm going to survive these things.
Yeah.
When a firearm is in play, there's the
etiquette.
The lethality
is,
of this is it's much more
it's-
grave. I mean, it's something that you really need to,
right.
a lot more going on there.
And I felt like I was taking it seriously, but from my background of firearms, my background of firearms is some shotgun use as a young adult, one time with a revolver, and then twice with a handgun. And only one, and this is all instances of, well, besides being a kid, the other ones were probably like drinking and camping. So
Ooh,
not
great combo.
Yes, and then someone were shooting things or in the morning.
Fabulous combo.
Yes.
No,
Very irresponsible ways, and like I said, for the first time, I'm 33 years old. First time in my life, I'm going to buy my first firearm this year, and I need to know more. Definitely on the safety side of.
It was funny. It wasn't really funny, but I'm thinking about it right now too. When that happened, I was really shocked to see what was going on. I felt like I had invited you to learn something. I didn't really anticipate the second person coming, which wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Because you kind of told me later on that they were going to come kind of late on. And I was fine with that because I knew the individual but there were certain freedoms that were being taken immediately as my true course had ended, and the range seemed to open up, so to speak. And I was, and if anyone knows me, I like to think of myself as a fun-loving guy, but when I'm playing this role or an instructor role or doing any type of firearm safety or anything like that, there's definitely a click in my head, and my gears
the
really
seriousness
change.
of it.
It really does. And I was embarrassed for you. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
That I almost felt like I just like kids playing
Right.
onto. I kind of.
And I felt a little too confident in my friend too. That at the same time, still that additional step of safety and like not knowing what I was doing, I should never have.
It was very scary for me,
Yeah.
to be completely honest. I mean, I was like, holy fucking shit.
Seriously?
It wasn't even
It's
seriously
like catching your kids do something bad.
Yeah, it's different though. Like, oh, seriously, I'm catching you making out with like the neighbor's daughter.
Well, this is
this is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is just stupidity, and that's how I felt. But at the same time, it's like I'm dealing with someone who's like a brother to me, and I was like aggravated that I let it even get to that point. That I didn't realize
that we were already
I didn't even realize
moving
that
so fast.
Right, and I really didn't think anybody. I didn't think you guys were just going to go and start like pulling shit out and doing stuff like that. I thought I should have been more clear.
Yeah, and
I had made it clear a little bit earlier before the class had ended. I don't want anyone loading weapons or anything like that on the waiting stage, the deck area.
Right.
Don't be pulling weapons out. This course isn't open. I don't want anyone doing showing, hey, here's my gun, or that's another gun, or this is my new gun, or whatever. Like, that's not cool, and we're not doing that.
Right.
There's an appropriate time to get onto the range and to pull these firearms out, and at that time we can all explore them together, and you can, hey, I just got this brand new Terran Tactical, or hey, I've got this little mini 9mm Glock that's actually made for a girl's hands, and you know, all sorts of different stuff like that. But there was a freedom that was taken, and I guess because that area, while I'm in that area, that's my area and I own that area, I felt like I didn't do my job. And on thank God nothing happened.
Right. And that's really the.
But it was a scary situation for a minute. It really was, and it was just like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you just don't know.
The realization, it hit me pretty fast that I was like, because I had. It's funny. It's what people do once given the opportunity, and like I had mentioned to Jerry before I was shooting the machine gun too. I was like, we should wait. It doesn't matter. We should wait. And then all of a sudden, like, got a round off, and then I was like, all right, well. And then we were waiting longer, and then all of a sudden, like, it's a little bit of just not knowing what I was doing, and then my own impatience kind of led me to where I was, and I was like, what the, like, usually I'm pretty patient, and like in this case, I was like, I don't know why,
my dick was already in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
So why stop?
I was like, let's just keep on going. And, but yeah, in retrospect, obviously when we're talking gun safety, it needs to be, I think everyone needs a little bit of like that, or at least those first 6 rules that we went over.
Healthy dose.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really, there's probably 9 rules.
To go by. Yeah. So the top ones,
do you want to read some of these?
Yeah, go for it. And explain them thoroughly. Like, the biggest thing is that I don't think people, once they get a gun, know what, like proper etiquette. And that's a big thing. And like being at a range where you're with other individuals, like anyone can sign up anyone can get a gun, first of all.
Most people.
Most people.
There are certain background checks.
You don't know
like that
how to use it and what to do next. And you go to a firing range that doesn't have, basically someone in charge.
The woods.
Yeah, or the woods. Like
happens all the time.
You start
we live in the mountains.
Immediately put people in danger.
Yeah, and let's think about this. There's different ways that people acquire weapons.
Right.
There's legal ways. There's illegal ways. There's ways that seem legal to other people because it's their father's firearm or a family firearm or something like that. So they don't really think anything of it. They've been hunting for years and whatever. And, you know, a lot of this thought's kind of misguided. There's rules in place for weapons for a reason. And unfortunately, I do believe not only in firearm safety, but I do believe that there's appropriate ways to acquire firearms. And, you know, checks are there for a reason. And I'm not saying that checks always work because we've obviously seen a lot of places that checks haven't worked.
Right.
You know, mentally ill people, just a number of different things.
Yeah, that people are going to fall through the cracks.
Parents not having their firearms locked up,
Right.
you know, in a manner, or a friend leaving it out, or just all sorts of stuff.
Theft.
I have, actually, perfect example.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend of mine that I consider my sister. Her car was stolen, and in her car was her purse and her firearm. It was later retrieved, like 6 months later. They found her purse, the stolen firearm, in a stolen car.
Jeez.
Yep. And the firearm was actually given to her by her boyfriend, so it was registered in his name, so she couldn't take direct possession of it back immediately when they did find it with her credentials.
Jeez.
So you can already see all these different things that are going on.
A lot of moving parts, and then this gun could have been involved in.
Right.
Like,
You don't.
And
you
it's
don't-
still
you-
registered to her.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
So, in saying that, if you do decide to go get a firearm the legal way, you get your background check, you clear because hopefully you're a sane person, and you choose to enter into responsible firearm use and ownership, there's basic rules that you're going to hear, and you're going to hear them a lot of times.
So before we jump into the rules, let's do a quick recap on two things. How did you get into this? Was it Machine Gun Tours, and then
How did I get into firearms?
and then how did you get into the training? And is it through? What's the company is it through that?
Okay,
you do
so
it?
the current training that was going on today is courses that we've been formulating and making. They're very basic courses through Machine Gun Tours.
Okay, and that's based out of Lakewood.
Colfax.
Colfax.
Colfax Ave, machineguntours.com. And Alan and I are both NRA certified pistol and rifle instructors, so we've gone through the NRA certification. That's very basic. We both have our concealed weapons classes, things like that we've done. I've personally done, sorry, lost my phone. I've personally done quite a bit of weapon manipulation from Executive Security International, which is a semi-contract group, executive protection type school that you would go to after military or law enforcement in order to get into executive protection or private security detachment work or different things like that. Or you hear the term contract, people who want to go overseas and contract after their tours are up,
Right.
things like this.
Was this training before hooking up with Machine Gun Tours?
Oh,
or?
yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up overseas and was exposed to the military at a very early age. My father was in the Marine Corps and the Army, then was senior representative for the Federal Aviation Administration for South America.
Right.
My mother, State Department. My brother-in-law is a retired colonel. Now he's Department of Defense. My sister actually runs the largest military nonprofit in the country called Fisher House Foundation, based out of Washington, D.C. They do a lot of amazing things for our vets, guys coming home, wounded soldiers, works with Walter Reed. She created the Invictus Games and the Warrior Games, which are two amazing programs.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot going on there. So this has always been kind of my world, so to speak. I chose not to go into the military. I did take my ASVABs, missed one on my ASVAB, which is actually pretty good. I was going to go into the Marine Corps, and I was already in college, and last minute decided not to go. and that was just a personal choice. When I went, I was going to go to officer cadet school and go in as an officer and stuff like that, which requires college and whatnot. And at the time, for the decisions I was making for myself and what I wanted to do in life, I ended up choosing a different route. I just decided not to go, to do that. But it's funny how things work out, because even many years later, I end up in the private sector, and I'm doing I'm doing the same work that most of those guys, when they get out, if they choose to continue in that career, are doing. And I would have to say that it's because of early influences, like the Marine Security Guard Detachment, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, multiple people who were in the military and armed services that were family members, friends of family members, different things like this. I've always considered myself a patriot and, a sheepdog in my community, and just wanted the best for everyone. And, sometimes people can't exercise. Yeah. God made me very healthy individual, thank God. And I have a brain, I can use it, and I've educated myself, and have been very fortunate to go to a number of different schools, from ESI, Vehicle Dynamics Institute, Sig Sauer Academy in Epping, New Hampshire.
And what is ESI?
ESI it's called Executive Security International. It's the one that I chose to go to. You can use your GI Bill to go.
Right.
And they have a multitude of courses and different things that you can take that allow you to get your foot in the door to start to do surveillance, covert surveillance, executive protection work, private security detachment work, all sorts of different things that we would call contract work.
Right.
In reality, when I think of a contractor, I think of a tax form that's 1099, which basically means we give you a big lump sum and you get paid for this, and you're responsible for paying taxes and saving them at the end of the year. That's what contractors do.
Right.
And there's building contractors in Iraq and overseas. There's military contractors. There's all sorts of different contractors. So that term contractor is thrown around very loosely. And sometimes I think people throw it around, I'm a contractor. It's like, well, you're swinging dick, you're swinging a hammer. Like, what are you doing? There's a lot of different stuff going on in that world.
Right.
So, I'm not a badass by any means.
Right.
I know a lot of badasses, but I've always been in the weapons.
Yeah, you've always been into weapons, and then you got into a really big field that actually had no idea that you were that big into weapons until I found out that you did that security or that ESI one. So rounding back around, so when did you guys start doing the classes at the machine gun tours?
The courses are new, actually. I've been asked on a number of occasions to be what they call a range officer, or go on different machine gun shoots, or both recreationally and educationally. So I've been a range officer for a couple different private organizations, and basically you go on the range and you make sure nobody's being stupid. And then I've also been range officer for Alan at Machine Gun Tours, where he has, literally, he's had strippers come in and shoot machine guns because a photographer wanted to make a calendar.
That is pretty fucking...
Well, you can't just get a hold of a machine gun.
Right, yeah.
You can't just get a hold of suppressors and fully automatic weapons. These are very, very,
But that seems so silly, though.
Have legally, it is, but it's not. Think about it.
But it's awesome that you can find someone to do that. But I just mean for strippers to be handling these weapons for probably the first weapon they've probably ever handled.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just firing off a fucking machine gun.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see this calendar, though.
Seen some crazy. Google it. There's stuff, actually, DuckDuckGo it. There's stuff out there. Come on, guys.
Right.
Pinterest, you name it. You put in beautiful woman machine gun
right. And
into any sort of image search.
And that's a rented gun.
And you are going to see... Woo! SHOT Show, which is the premier gun show in Las Vegas, similar to Interbike for the mountain biking industry. At SHOT Show, you have scantily clad women running around posing with weapons and people taking photos.
Right.
It's one of those things. That guys.
Speaking of unsafe, let's talk about some of those safety rules that most people should know.
So firearm safety rules. There's two really big ones, and different people look at the first two in a different order, or they might think one's more important than the other. This and that. The first one that I always taught was muzzle management. Always keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. The muzzle of the weapon being the end of the weapon where the bullet exits. So if you keep this in a safe direction, meaning not pointed at people, not pointed at houses, dogs, cats, what have you, if the firearm was to go off, that muzzle's in a safe direction, and hopefully nothing bad will happen beside you looking like an asshole because you didn't have control of your weapon.
And then there's like a few instances you see or you hear about that's like people like shooting their neighbors.
This happens all the time. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, actually, God bless him, I know a friend of mine, staff sergeant in the military, had a weapon, was sitting on the floor in his closet checking his safe, told me he thought he racked the weapon and cleared it, went to pull the trigger, and shot himself through the toe with a .45 ACP, which is a pretty good sized bullet.
Yeah, through the toe. Like what toes left?
On base.
Yeah,
on base.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So that's.
Does he still have his toe?
He still has his job and his toe, which is pretty incredible, considering it's a negligent discharge of a weapon.
Yeah.
So number 2 is trigger finger discipline. You guys probably seen him movies. What's that movie? Black Hawk Down, and the guy's like, "This is my safety."
Yeah.
You know, and like that's it's kind of like a tough guy thing. Keep your finger off the trigger.
Right.
You know, always keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire. This is a big rule. So, you know, you get your sight picture, you have your weapon drawn, you have it on the target. When you're ready to engage your target, ready to destroy what is in front of you, then you can pull the trigger.
And I think a lot of people take this one for granted too, because I caught myself right away putting my finger right on the trigger.
That's what you do.
Right away.
You had squirt guns.
And I was,
and,
you're just ready to go. And like, I'm not even pointing at anything. And I was like, you called me out on it. And I think I was pointing up. So like, at least it was, up is still bad.
Not facing me.
Yeah, not facing a person.
Which I appreciate.
But up could still be bad. Like that bullet can still come down and it's going to do damage to something.
You know, quick side note, let's think about how many things in our society look like pistols or are made to operate like a pistol that have nothing to do with actual shooting. You have ratchet guns in cars and air tools and nail guns in the construction industry, and you have frosting things for cakes, and you have all these different types of grease guns, and they're even called guns. A grease gun.
Yeah, like 90% of them won't do any harm either.
A price tag gun for putting price tags in clothing. I mean, you've got a lot of things out there that are modeled after a weapon and have a trigger, and when you pull that, it actually does something. Whether it dispenses grease or puts a price tag into something or removes nuts from your wheels, to change a tire. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shit out there that.
And like you're pretty much predisposed. Like if you haven't even dealt with a firearm, you've definitely you had a drill. You've definitely drilled a hole, screwed something in with a drill.
To wall.
Like most people have used that.
All these companies have screw guns. They're called screw guns.
And then if you haven't done that, you're at least a kid and had a water gun. And if you didn't have a water gun as a kid, I'm sorry. That's just a lame childhood.
We used to fill our water guns as kids with mixes of our mom's perfume.
Oh man, that is so mean.
Oh
and not to mention that your mom, but all your friends would smell like perfume.
Well, a disgusting mix of perfumes. But the beating you got from your mother after using your expensive perfume was even worse, I think, when we got home. God forbid you tried to refill those things up with water and then ruin the whole bottle, which I did once.
Right.
So muzzle management and trigger finger discipline, these are big deals. Now, typically they do muzzle management and first, trigger finger discipline second. Now, to me, muzzle management is awesome. It's really important. It's great. Trigger finger discipline to me is the most important. I've seen guys sweep other guys. When you sweep someone with a weapon, it's having a loaded weapon, and you basically pass the muzzle over their body, or doing a draw from their holster, sweeping their own hand, their foot, their shoe, all sorts of different stuff. Now, the thing is this: if someone catches you sweeping them, you're definitely an asshole.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your finger on that trigger, at least you're only an asshole because you're going to get called out and you're going to look like an idiot. Whereas if you have that finger on the trigger and then you decide to sweep someone, well, then you could have a fatality. You could have, some serious problems with the gunshot wound, and that's a big fucking deal.
And it reminds me of a friend I knew in Texas, and like his family was all like hunters, all kinds of stuff. And he was doing actually a safety video, and he sweeps himself and shoots himself in the foot.
I'd love to see that video. I've seen a couple of these videos, by the way.
It's like, but not to mention that he's teaching other people how to be safe, and he shoots him in his foot. But this is number 3 or 4 is not to sweep, right? Like you're just not. When you're telling people these rules, this is
muzzle management is sweeping. So,
okay.
So as far as
this
right is one. Now, the way that I read my rules, and all these rules are presented in a very small, different variances, but pretty much everything's always the same. And I want to just shout out to Sig Sauer Academy, Epping, New Hampshire. I have taken, probably like 12 to 15 courses with them. These are full day courses, week-long courses with them, multi-day courses. I've,
right.
just traveled.
Have you seen any injuries on those? Or
no, you know what? Sig Sauer has an amazing. They do everything. They're true professionals.
Right.
I don't wear a lot of T-shirts unless it's a company I really believe in or a brand I really believe in. And I'm sure you've caught me wearing Sig Sauer T-shirts.
Yeah, I think so.
I love Sig Sauer. They make phenomenal firearms. Their instruction is second to none. It's some of the best firearm training I've ever received. And they go hard. These guys go hard. They, you start small, they build you up, they break you down, and they do So when I'm talking about firearm safety rules, I always refer back to the ones that really were impressed the most to me and how they explained them was at Sig Sauer Academy. They really do. Epping, New Hampshire, they do a great job. So, number 3, know the status of your firearm. Knowing the status of your firearm basically means, is it loaded? Where is it? Do you have, one in the chamber? Down your pants, Andrew. These are the things that you should always know. Sorry, didn't mean to pick on you.
I am a little embarrassed for that still.
I'm embarrassed for you. I'm more embarrassed for myself that I let you get into that position, to be honest.
And I'm taking information from somebody else that is not.
That didn't invite you there.
That didn't invite me there, but isn't like I would say this type of training that you're doing is something that most people don't even brush up or get close to.
We do. So when we do training, we like to go above and beyond. And, I think that after going to a place like Sig Sauer Academy, they set a whole new bar and a whole new standard for myself, not only as a, operator of different weapons, but also I've always loved instructing, like coaching mountain bikes, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was a natural progression for me to get into firearm education and safety. And they really set a very high bar for what I expect of myself and what I expect of myself as an educator to teach people. You don't, it's not the bare minimum. I want to give everybody everything, and,
Right.
and try and give them as many tools as possible and make them aware of all the horrible things that can possibly happen, but also the very positive things that comes from owning a firearm and treating it in a responsible manner.
Yeah.
It's really important, especially nowadays.
Wow, there's literally people out there on YouTube telling people that you should keep one in the chamber.
Yeah, YouTube
In
cowboys
case-
are fucking
yeah.
everywhere. Don't even watch those YouTube videos. I mean, unless you
Right.
want to laugh. And
Yeah, these guys are telling people like, that's could be the second that you could have saved someone's life or you dying. It's just like,
there's a lot of
Yeah.
misinformation out there, and it's very scary because it's so accessible to everybody. Click of a button, and kids and ages, and there's no standard for it. So it's hard.
Right.
There's a lot of redneck shit going on out there, man.
yeah.
And I'm a redneck. So
But you've seen the other ones where like it's like women literally
It's-
backfiring the guns so hard that it's like pointing at them afterwards.
yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff you just gotta like.
Pretty scary.
Oh, you gotta.
Oh, it's super cringy.
I don't like watching
yeah.
stuff like that because it just.
Yeah, like this
it
is.
really
Are we watching a death video? Is this guy gonna get shot right now?
it's
I've
bad.
I've definitely seen the woman like she just like turning with the gun.
Sweep.
It's like, what do you? And sweeps the cameraman and all of her friends behind her, and she's just like,
And guaranteed
and
something
the last
like that.
person stops her.
Something that like
before it
that
ends.
started out with that girl in a bikini holding the shotgun and her boyfriend wanting to take a photo of his hot girlfriend holding a firearm.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, know the status of your firearm. Very important. Number 4, identify your target. What's around it? What's behind your target? Are you shooting into an appropriate backstop that's at a firing range? Do you have bottles fucking in a national forest set up on an old stump?
Right.
Well, what do you if you have a kid camping or hikers behind you or endangered wildlife or regular wildlife or whatever? You don't know you got to know what's behind there.
The our mutual friend that rides up on or here in town, he came across a couple guys. They were shooting across a trail, not even into the mountain. It was like a flat area. The bullet could go pretty far before it hit anything, and then they're shooting across a walking trail that was right there. They're just
Yeah, I mean, there's a
No
lot.
idea
There's a
what
lot
they're
of
doing.
real like bigger rules and like basic hunter safety courses that people should be taking just to get your hunter safety license in order to get a license to hunt. And some of those rules are firing over fence lines, over roads, over paths or established easements and things like this.
Right.
And that's important, especially if a long rifle is probably one of the easiest things to get your hands on as far as buying a weapon legally from like Walmart or Cabela's or wherever. You can go in there. They just do a background check. If you clear the background check, you've got a rifle. Now,
day of, right? They're just not.
yeah, within an hour. Probably
Yeah.
less than an hour, unless you have a name like mine, Santiago Garcia, and then you're pulling up all sorts of crazy people wondering who you are.
Like, is
you gotta
this
give them your
the right-
social,
Yeah.
you gotta give them a birth certificate, all sorts of
Right.
stuff. I swear I was never in that country.
Right.
So it's a mess.
But yeah, knowing your backdrop is it seems like it seems like an easy thing that everyone forgets about. Like I said with with our mutual friend, it's like, what a fucking scary situation. He's coming down a trail and someone's literally pointing a firearm at him.
Yeah, identify your target, what's behind it, obviously. That's just, I don't promote going into wilderness areas and shooting. You will not catch me shooting in a wilderness area unless I have my hunting license and I'm there to fill a deer tag or an elk tag or something of that manner.
Right.
And especially in that manner, you need to be more careful because the woods are big places. People love to wear camouflage. And what you might think is a deer rustling behind a bush could actually be some poor hunter pulling his pants up after taking a shit.
Right.
So if you can't identify your target, see exactly what it is, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, shouldn't even be looking down sights at that point.
Yeah. Well, down sights is one thing, but having your finger on a trigger,
Yeah.
is something else. I mean, a hunting application is a little bit different from just, practicing good firearm stuff.
Right.
So 5, ear protection, eye protection, Wear these things at all times. Ear and eyes, man. Your ears, you never get your hearing back. I think I told you before, there's this kind of funny thing, and they call it like the World War II salute, and it goes, huh? And it's kind of like an old guy bringing his hand up to his ear and then going like, what? What'd you say? Well, a lot of these gentlemen who sacrificed, life and limb for our country, these guys weren't wearing ear protection.
Right, and they sacrificed their ears because of all the bombs and guns going off right next to them.
And you wonder why some of these old guys are deaf? I don't wonder at all.
Yeah.
These guys
no, that doesn't
thousands of rounds and bombs and explosions.
Honestly, I'm waiting for the day on that kind of stuff. It's like, when are we going to get those injections for like rebuilding like eardrums and eyes? Like they're already doing LASIK with eyes, but you feel like we're like stem cell away from like.
I'm 2015, so
yeah. I feel like I'm 2020. I don't know what that means anymore because someone explained to me. Yeah, someone explained to me a long time ago that there's actually a stronger. And I'm like, what?
I actually, 2015 is
2015 stronger. I don't know the ratios and how that works.
I thought I was quick back. This is really quick. I moved the reticle on my rifle and I changed the position, put a new laser optic on there, whatever, red dot optic, whatever you're going to call them. Mm-hmm. Also by Sig Sauer. Very good optic. Good going.
Getting all kinds of plug 6 hour.
It's a Romeo. I've got a sick Romeo.
Just wait. I'm going to get you as a sponsor 6 hour. Just wait.
Got a couple of Romeos. Anyways, I've been called Romeo before too. But so I mounted this optic, mounted it too close to my eye, what they call eye relief, or the distance that your eye should be from the optic. And I was like, brought the weapon up to shoot on target, and I was seeing like this like infinity symbol blur. It wasn't clear to me. And I immediately started freaking out. Not immediately right there, but I was like, man, something's off. I went to shoot again, later on. I'm like, something's off. And I'm like, my eyes.
I'm going blind.
And I'm like, I'm almost 42. I bet I'm going blind. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm like, my mom wears glasses. My dad wears glasses. I probably should be wearing glasses. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So I freak out. I haven't been to an optometrist in literally 15 years. Go to the Walmart. Get an appointment. They're like, oh, we can get you in a couple days. I'm like, I need to be in here now. So the guy
push me ahead, please.
The guy who saw I was kind of distraught. I was like, I can get you in tomorrow. I'm like, that's not fast enough. But I went in the next day. They do all these different eye tests and stuff in my eye and this puff of like
really?
Like
I've actually never had my eyes checked.
Oh, it's like this little machine that pushes like air pressure into your eye to measure like the density of the lens.
Yeah.
And then, then they have you in this machine and they're changing these lenses in front of you and you got to read.
Better.
The guy's like, read the chart. I was like, made in China. He was like, yes, smart ass. It was made in Taiwan. But no, I did everything. I passed everything. He tried using new prescriptions and stuff. And I was like, no, I don't like that. It makes it blurry. And finally he's like, all right, come into my office. And I'm like, oh God, here it is.
Yeah, glasses.
And I would just liken it to like a guy who went buck crazy in college for 4 years and then has to get his first STD test or something.
Yeah.
But he knows something itches. So he's just expecting the worst.
It's like,
and that's exactly how I was feeling. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be the worst thing ever. And he goes, so what's the problem? I go, well, doc, I'm going blind. And he goes, you have 2015 vision. I was like, what's that mean? He's like, you have better than 2020 vision. I had already been looking stuff up on the internet, how to get LASIK.
Right. I was already
accepting I was going blind. I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. Sometimes I get really nervous about my health. And, because I want to last a long time, or at least as long as I can.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're fine. And he goes, what prompted you to come here? So I told him the story about the optic. And he laughs. And he goes, I'm a hunter. He goes, sounds like you put your scope in a weird spot and your eyes aren't focusing on it right. And he goes, have you moved your scope lately? And I go, I actually did. I have a brand new 6 Sauer Romeo. And he goes, check where you put it. So I go home, I look at it, and I'm like, oh. And I look at some of my other rifles, and I just been using this one rifle for a little bit, had a couple other ones put away. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think this is too close. And I moved it back to the original position where I should have in my excitement to put the 6 Hour Romeo on. I just put it wrong, whatever. And I moved it back to the position where it should be, proper eye relief to the reticle.
Right.
And I pop up my rifle and,
everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect. So,
yeah, I like you. I have
ridiculous.
lucked out with the eye fairy or whatever you want to call it, because my brothers both have, or one of my brothers had to get LASIK. Scott still wears glasses and contacts, and yeah, I'm just lucked out. I got the 20/20, and I can read pretty much every line on everything. Actually, the other day I went to the office or whatever doctor's office, and I was kind of disappointed when they. It was a pretty far distance. It felt like there was like 10 feet extra.
It was 100 feet.
Or whatever when we read it, like, you normally read it. I'm like, this is bullshit. I can normally read the bottom line. And it came to my attention then. I was like, maybe my eyes are going bad.
Scary.
Yeah,
getting older.
yeah. And I was like,
I didn't
after
want to say
that,
old.
I actually didn't
I just
do
want to
it.
say older.
Yeah. Well, we were both doing things to slow that down. So,
Yeah, right. So, anyways.
sorry, backtrack.
So,
This
ear and
is a
eye
little
protection,
tangent.
all times, very, very important.
Yep, need your eyes. Yes.
Okay. When this is a big 6 Hour rule, something I learned from them. When clearing a firearm, you want to do a visual and a physical check. So, you drop your mag, you pull your slide back, it locks, and you still in a safe direction. You're looking in there. You're using your pinky or finger, whatever you want, and kind of poking in there, making sure nothing is chambered, making sure that you can see down through. There's no mag in there. And then this is a really cool trick. Not a trick, but it's a good thing. You break your vision. You look away from that firearm, look at something else, tilt your head. Oh, a bird. Oh, whatever. Then you go back to the firearm and you do the exact same thing again.
Right.
You do that physical and visual check. That way you're breaking your focus and you're coming back to something, refocusing on it, and rechecking it. You're double checking it.
Yeah,
this is important. Lots of times, I can't tell you how many times I've been looking for my keys, and I'm like, I literally looked at my keys on the table, and we're like, where are my fucking keys? And then, start looking around somewhere else, and then come back and go, oh, my fucking keys are right there. I just looked at them, and I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So
I do something similar with the garage door. I'd always freak out like I didn't close it because I never double check. Like sometimes I'll close it and then my attention breaks and I'm driving away already because I'm fucking around with my phone. And then I get about to the stop sign because, my bike's like the first thing that's inside that door.
Reverse?
Yeah. No, I'll just flip a bitch. I'll come back and look at the closed garage door. And I'm like, God damn it.
Right? Just wasted 45 seconds of
But
my
it's a
life.
really good OCD rule that someone created. That's like it's exactly for that reason because people think too highly or so easily. That's like, yeah, it's completely open. There couldn't possibly be a bullet in there.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden they're putting their weapon away loaded and could easily go
or
off.
going to depress the trigger just to store it or whatever,
Yeah,
and you do
so
have something in there. And
If you think you
accidental
left the
discharge.
stove on, you should probably double check.
Right?
Like that's the rule, and I feel like that, like I said, it's something that people probably take advantage of all the time, and that worries me.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with
Yeah.
that. So yeah, when clearing firearms, always check both visually and physically. Make sure that thing's unloaded. Make sure that you did do what you were trying to do, which is achieve an empty firearm for safety's sake. Then there's a couple other ones. Like if you're going shooting on a range, respect their rules. If there's a range officer, listen to that motherfucker. He ain't working there just for shits and giggles,
Right.
or to get a discount or to get a free target. He's working there because he's there for your safety. And hopefully, people who do stuff like range officers, the ones I have run into and been involved with truly care about the sport, truly care about your safety. Nobody wants to see someone get shot. That's
Yeah.
a horrible thing. They don't have to deal with that. That takes, you're not getting home to dinner early if you're a range officer and someone gets shot. You're just not. So like they take that stuff seriously. Listen to those people who are in charge.
Yeah, it'd be very worrisome if they didn't. Like,
Oh, it happened. You'd be
yeah. Like
Hella
like
surprised.
a kid at a being a lifeguard or something. Like, well, how did he even get this job?
right, guys.
But,
Bird dogging chicks, and my 4-year-old just drowned.
Yep. Thanks. This is not helpful. This is not helpful at all.
You know, always use good judgment, common sense. I know common sense is not common. Use good judgment. Don't be
Right.
trying to pull some fucking Bruce Willis with like your weapon duct taped to your back so you could, do some shit or pull out and do like the cowboy flip or I don't know. This is all sorts of people do crazy dumb shit
Right.
all the fucking time. I mean,
The quick draw thing kind of bothers me that people practice that so often and like
well, there's a right way to do something. There's a
Yeah.
wrong way to do it. But if you're an inexperienced weapon handler and you haven't been, trained on certain mechanics and you haven't been practicing in a safe area and different things like that, I mean, there's a legitimateness to being able to pull your weapon fast from a concealed position and do your job, whether you're
Right.
a police officer or a private investigator or a private security detail person or
Right.
whatever it is. I mean, there's legitimate use for these skill sets.
Yeah, but if you're just like common Joe Schmo, the chances that you mess that up is pretty high in a real life situation.
be.
Like I'm just saying, like if you stick to your training though, you're probably more likely to get the gun out properly, do what you need to do, and fire off a accurate shot. I think people that are like first gun trying to pull that shit off, they're fucking wildly shooting bullets.
I mean, everyone
As
drives their
is.
car daily, right? We all drive
Yeah.
our cars daily. If you have a driver's license, you're a responsible human being. I see people that think that they are Ayrton Senna, famous Formula One Brazilian driver, all the time on the highway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The fact is, you're in a fucking Nissan Sentra from 92. Like, who are you racing?
Yeah.
Relax, dude. And then on top of that, you got people handling their cell phones, smacking their kid in the back seat,
Right.
smoking cigarettes, eating their McDonald's, my favorite, putting makeup on in the mirror while driving
Yeah.
forward. Awesome. Some of these ladies have mastered that, I got to admit, but not something I would suggest.
Right. I feel
know?
like, man, we brought this up last time, but like you're driving around something dangerous. If you're talking about guns, you're handling something that can kill someone. Like doing stuff properly so nothing, it does its job and doesn't do the latter.
Yeah.
Like, I know that the gun's job is to kill someone, but the car's job is to get you safely to somewhere else. Like, and you're taking full advantage of that. Eating.
I kind of don't agree with that statement though, because I don't think a weapon's job is to kill somebody. I think weapons provide measures of security, a measure of feeding families who depend on weapons for hunting and for sustenance and stuff like that. A weapon is a tool, and the way that you choose to use that tool can. There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
to
you're right, and I didn't
use
mean it like
tool.
that. But,
and I don't mean to. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that you meant it.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I
So
meant
it's
I'm
just-
more of the caliber of like how dangerous these two items are and how easily we kind of look over to the finer notes of it. Like,
Yeah, don't drink and drive, don't
I
drink
use
and
my
shoot.
I use my phone less than I ever had in the car. And I remember when I was 16, driving and eating a hamburger, and like my brother would do it. Everyone do it. Driving with your knee.
Yeah.
Just stupid shit like that.
I'll tell you what, man. On long trips, I am still guilty of shoving a burger in my face. I don't do it a lot, and actually now I'm so anal about my car.
Yeah, I don't want my shit all dirty.
I don't want my shit dirty.
greasy.
So for me, and then you're driving like long distance, like greasy fingertips, you get some soggy, crappy fries that you decided to shove your hand into, but then we're like, oh, these aren't going in my mouth. And you throw them back in the bag, but now you're like smearing it on the steering wheel.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Friggin' horrible. And then what? You got to wipe your face with greasy fingers.
No,
So-
it's like, why didn't we just take the time? Like,
Right. Well, it takes
why
5
are we in
minutes.
such a hurry to fucking get back in the car?
But if anyone has seen
Yeah.
me eat, I eat in a hurry. I
Right.
inhale food.
yeah.
So it's like I just stop, inhale my food, then I don't have the garbage smell in my car. I go wash my hands. Maybe get that milkshake on the way out.
Right.
Not very often. I
Um,
did opt for a piece of cake today. But you gotta do it. And then I think the biggest thing to remember, whenever you're shooting with anybody, your friends or an organization or at a public shooting range, you're a safety officer. Be a safety officer. Be aware of your surroundings.
Right.
If you see some guy next to you doing some crazy shit, get off the line. Go tell someone who's in charge. If you feel comfortable, tell them, hey, asshole, don't do that. You're going to hurt somebody.
Right.
Be aware. We are all on this earth. We are all in charge of each other's safety as neighbors and family members and friends and even people I don't fucking know. The last thing I want to do is, see some person with their phone in their hand walking across the street, not paying attention.
Right. Yeah,
You
you
know-
got to watch out for others just so, to watch out for yourself.
Right. You know what's funny? I teach my kids this. Everyone's like, you growing up, safety first, safety first, safety first. Bullshit. Safety third. Safety third. 1, be cognizant of your surroundings, what's going on, what you're doing. 2, know the inherent risk that you are taking in whatever activity that you are doing. Whether it's building a house, raising a roof, shooting a firearm, driving a car. If you are aware of your surroundings and you know that something that you're doing can be dangerous, so you're going to do it as safely as possible, safety third.
Yeah.
Safety's out the window. You're already safe.
Yeah. You don't have, safety is at that point. You covered it.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
nowadays, I see so many people that think that everyone around them, it's their responsibility to keep an eye on them. And yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on people because I don't want anyone to get hurt, but that's not my full-time job.
Right.
And if it comes down to like that guy walking across the street on his phone like an idiot, or me holding on to both my kids' hands and preventing them from going across that street because the flashing no walking sign, you better believe I'm choosing my kids.
Right.
So safety third, people, get your head out of your ass. Figure it out.
Yeah. What is the fucking the phenomenon that almost got all these people killed? Pokemon Go. That app literally led people into the streets.
Okay, so I know Pokemon, the card things.
Oh, they have a phone app that you can walk around and catch Pokemon or something. I've gladly never have seen used this app,
Can you?
but I have
I'm
watched
gonna need some
people.
explanation. I don't.
So it literally uses worse than Google. It uses your GPS and whatever. It's not VR, but through your phone pops up Pokemon. So
Right.
people have to look at their phone and look at the surrounding area to find these Pokemon.
So it's like finding Google Maps to imaginary shit.
Yes, exactly that.
This is fucking horrible.
No, and I'm glad it's. I
thought I heard most-
I think it's. I think for the most part it's dead, but I have seen people just walking around town and stuff, walking in, and I've heard horror stories
What
about
genius thought that shit up?
some fucking guy at Google. I remember there was a commercial they were fucking around with, and it was like this guy hiking in the woods and him finding a Pokemon, and it was like a old Google commercial.
It's like the Segway guy driving a
and then
Segway
Pokemon,
off the cliff.
they literally made the app for it that uses that. But then, there was people driving with their phone in front of them, trying
People
to catch
already
Pokemon.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need
Well,
to
this
throw
one they're trying to play a
Pokemon.
game. People
like run over
walking
the
into
Pokemon?
traffic, because they're only looking at their phone.
Horrible.
People leading other people into traps. They like set up fake stations. Like you can set up these refill stations or something like that on it. These people are leading people there to steal their shit.
To mug them?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, I thought that was the best one.
That is definitely the best one. If you're that much of an idiot to go follow your phone
I was like, at least these people are
around,
getting.
you deserve to get your phone jacked.
You're like, this doesn't seem like a neighborhood I should be in, but there is a Pokemon here, so fuck this.
Oh, look, that crack dealer, it says it's a Pokemon right behind him.
Weird how this neighborhood has such lively Pokemon refill stations.
Yeah, it's also got the highest murder rate in the city.
But yeah, being cognizant of your surroundings, like, we do dangerous shit all the time. Like, we're adrenaline junkies in a lot of respects, and biking and skiing and
daily
living
life.
in the mountains.
I think
daily life.
Daily life is dangerous, man.
You
Going
don't
down
get
to the corner store and, interacting with
You don't get to
people.
take a day off when you're doing that kind of stuff. You take the day off, you're going to hurt yourself.
I don't think there's really anything. It's not too. I don't remember the last time I even had a day off when I was calling it my day off. I mean,
Right?
geez, you and I were just on vacation, paddleboarding. The next day, and everything's beautiful, right? The next day, or actually that night, we're done paddleboarding. We are preparing dinner. We're looking out the window at the Intercoastal, and we see two love-stricken individuals on the Ciots Island, not 200 meters from us, and black thunderclouds rolling in. And what do these two kids do? Jump in their kayaks and try and beat the storm. Then what happens? Do you want to continue with
so
this?
we're watching these kids get tossed around by these huge. Obviously, the surf's up at that point. They're getting tossed around. One of them gets upended, the woman. So this is the love couple that decided that
We're
we
watching
could just-
through binoculars, by the way.
We're just watching this occur.
Wondering, do we need to call this in?
Yeah.
Do we need to call them
So
in?
she gets topped and she's under for a minute, like a minute or two. You didn't see her head. They
Pops
couldn't-
up.
Yep, she pops up.
And is holding on to a channel piling, a big piling that marks the deep water so bigger boats can go through there. I don't know if anyone's been like coastal or anything like that, but like when you live in like Florida and these different places that have like intercoastal seaways, anything that goes in the salt water and lives there is covered in barnacles.
Yeah, there's no way she wasn't all fucked up. from that.
Talking fucking animals that it's so funny too. Oh, they're goose barnacles. Why don't they call them liquid razor cut you the fuck up? Because it's a goose. No, it's not a goose. These are like geez.
Yeah, and cause infection,
It's
dirty
like
as
these
fuck.
things should be sponsored by
Yeah.
Gillette and Rust because that's what they do to you. They destroy you.
Yeah.
And this girl is hugging a piling with seas that are probably 2 to 3 foot. So they go down. She's holding onto the piling, and then her weight drags her down a half a foot. She's still holding onto the hugging the piling. Sea goes back up. Her buoyancy pushes her up. She's like cheese grating.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
So lucky for them, we were watching them, and we did call the. It wasn't the Coast Guard, but the fire, the police department.
We called the 911, which is 911.
Yeah.
We reported where they were at. We had eyes on the individuals, what was going on.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, hot ticket to ride.
Yep. They get back on the
boat
beach and they get
comes,
picked
there's
up.
Lights. There's the police
Yeah.
boats are all there picking these assholes up. I could see
And
I could see one guy on the shore doing like the handshake and finger at these kids from like
Fucking idiots.
300 yards away. I could see this guy's like shaking his head and pointing his finger, and they got a ride home. I wonder how much that ride cost them.
Oh man,
They were lucky.
They were very lucky that we were around. They were even luckier to get their capsized kayak flipped over and hurt back in it. Before that, like I was watching it occur, you're just like to see her back in her kayak, and they weren't wearing.
No,
they weren't wearing life
wearing life
preservers.
vests.
Oh my god! So yeah, so just to sum it all up, like, dude, know your surroundings, know what you're getting yourself into.
Life's dangerous.
Like
Everything can be dangerous.
And obviously today's good lessons on that too. It's like not knowing what I was getting into led me to do something stupid. At least nothing really bad happened, and that's what
I didn't say it.
Well, that is the lesson of the day. We've been here for a little over an hour.
Nice.
Feel like that's.
I'm just
all
glad.
we wanna-
I'm just glad that you had a positive experience, which was my whole goal for today and the other day. Inviting you out there was I wanted you to have a positive initial experience with a firearm. We've been talking about it for a really long time, but getting you out there on the range and and doing a little shooting and a little weapon manipulation, and I hope you had a good experience. Besides that little initial me freaking out and getting a little loud with everyone. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not sorry either. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Right.
And
But
I just wanted you to have a good time.
Leading me and helping me get into my first firearm purchase, which, like, I would say it's weird that I just talked about something like this with the last podcast, but like it's like getting a tattoo. You should be really sure that's what you want, like, and before you do it, and like make sure you know what you're getting into, like. This is something like for the guns instance, it's something that's really dangerous. For tattoos instance, it's going to be on your body for the rest of your life. So be prepared. Be prepared and know what you're getting yourself into. And I'm getting myself into purchasing my first firearm, and I want to be able to conceal carry. And honestly, I'm doing it because I bike by myself a lot, and in places where, man, I have been really deep in the woods by myself.
Yeah, I mean that's one potential good reason for doing that. I know a lot of actually cyclists who carry a firearm with them, especially in the Rocky Mountains where we live. Sometimes we're way the fuck out there. I mean,
yeah,
you don't know. I mean,
like 10, 15 miles out by yourself on a bike. There's nobody's gonna come save you. If you saw an animal that,
let's face it, though, it's a Second Amendment right to own a firearm in this country. This country is built by firearms, protected by firearms. I mean, there's a lot that goes into. I mean, having a firearm nowadays, that's one of your God-given rights as far as being a North American. And I'm proud to have it and execute it, and but treat it responsibly, do the right thing. And even when you get your firearm, practice. It's a perishable skill. You need to be doing it. Take courses. Take courses from not anyone, not YouTube, anything like that. Go to credible, licensed firearms, individuals who teach courses, or a place like 6 Hour Academy, or go to your local gun store that you do the purchase of the firearm from. Ask them where you can get training, NRA website. I mean, there's a lot of really responsible places you can go, but get that training. Be a responsible firearm. Don't make us look like bad guys and assholes, because there's enough people out there on YouTube who already does it.
Well said. And education. Like, you need to educate yourself. The more and more I need to know more. I need to know way more than I know now, and I'm going to own my own firearm, and I'm going to keep on trying to learn about it and learn more and more.
You can buy me some boxes of ammo because you owe me.
Well, thanks, Santiago, for coming by, man. Yeah, definitely.
Man.
And we'd probably owe the other guy some ammo, too. Took like half of his.
All
This is final plug. Officially, unofficially, the highest podcast that gets broadcast, I think.
From Idaho Springs?
I would assume so. We couldn't find anyone that broadcast any higher
perfect.
than us.
I like no competition.
But yeah. All right.
All right. Be well, people. Stay safe.
Peace out.
Up.